with venom, red horn leading the charge. Under darkened skies they march, metal stone mickles arch. Red mutants strike with venom, red horn leading the charge. Under darkened skies they march, metal stone mickles arch. Clash of titan, steel and light, sword star burns in the night. Guardians from mutants flee in the cyber warfare dream. Clash of titan, steel and light, sword star burns in the night. Guardians from mutants flee in the cyber warfare dream. Clash of titan, steel and light, sword star burns in the night. Guardians from mutants flee in the cyber warfare dream. Shadows like piercing through. Renegades launch awaken, still on the new. Planets, void sorrows, engines ignite. Crocs, evil shadows loom. We're ready to fight. There's a warrior's forged in fire and steel. Battle all covers till the power real. Darkness falls as we stand side by side. United we'll crush evil, watch it collide. We're renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Planets on starlight, fight for what's right. Against Clark Shadow we'll ignite. Cross the prince of darkness, move back down. United join army, they circle around. When we are the storm, the lightning in the night. The renegades like sharp hearts burning bright. Beyond the stars where the shadows lie, we stand on broken wings up to the sky. Feel the power surge in metal veins. Together we conquer, breaking all chains. Whoa, 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 whoa. We're renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Let us go, it's all right, fight for what's right. Against the shadow we ignite. We're renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Let us go, it's all right, fight for what's right. Against the shadow we ignite. We ignite. All the bits of darkness won't back down. Like a vengeance of light. For the right we ignite. We're renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness with beams of light. Let us go, it's all right, fight for what's right. Against Clark Shadow we'll ignite. We're renegades, engines of might. Shatter the darkness.